Klondike is a patience game. Many people refer to Klondike as patience or solitaire, it being one of the better known of the family of patience games. Rules. After shuffling a standard 52-card deck, 7 piles of cards are laid from left to right. Each pile begins with one upturned card. From left to right, each pile contains one more card than the last. The first and leftmost pile contains a single upturned card, the second pile contains 2 cards, the third contains 3, and so on, until the 7th pile, which contains 7 cards. The piles should look like the figure to the right at the beginning of every game. The 4 foundations are built up by suit from ace to king, and the tableau piles can be built down by alternate colors, and partial or complete piles can be moved if they are built down by alternate colors also. Any empty piles can be filled with a king or a pile of cards with a king. The aim of the game is to build up a stack of cards starting with 2 and ending with king, all of the same suit. Once this is accomplished, the goal is to move this to a foundation, where the player has previously placed the ace of that suit. Once the player has done this, they will have finished that suit, the goal being, of course, to finish all suits, at which time the player would have won. There are different ways of dealing the remainder of the deck, turning only one card at a time, but placing no limit on passes through the deck. Turning 3 cards at once to the waist with no limit on passes through the deck, but allowing the player to switch once to a single pass through the deck 1 card at a time. After that single pass, however, the player cannot go back to turning 3 cards at a time and can turn over no more cards from the waist. Odds of winning. For a standard game of Klondike of the forms draw 3, redeal infinite, and win 52, the number of possible hands is over 7,000 trillion. About 79% of the games are theoretically winnable, but people do not win 79% of the games they start because they make a wrong move somewhere and lose the game prematurely. If one allows cards from the foundation to be moved back to the tableau, then between 82 and 91.5% are theoretically winnable. Note that these results depend on complete knowledge of the positions of all 52 cards, which a player does not possess. Another recent study has found the draw 3, redeal infinite to have an 83.6% win rate after 1,000 random games were solved by a computer solver. The issue is that a wrong move cannot be known in advance whenever more than one move is possible. The number of games a player can probabilistically expect to win is at least 43%. In addition, some games are unplayable in which no cards can be moved to the foundations even at the start of the game. These occur in only 0.025% of hands dealt. There are 4 types of hands: winnable games, theoretically winnable lost games, unwinnable games, and unplayable games. There is a modified version of the game called Thoughtful Solitaire, in which the identity of all 52 cards is known. Because the only difference between the 2 games is the knowledge of card location, all thoughtful games with solutions will also have solutions in Klondike. Similarly, all dead ends in thoughtful will be dead ends in Klondike. However, the theoretical odds of winning a standard game of non-thoughtful Klondike are currently not known exactly. It has been said that the inability for theoreticians to precisely calculate these odds is one of the embarrassments of applied probability. One brute force attempt, based on a computer program playing 100 million of possible games, predicts 8.7% win by clearing the table to the aces pile. However imperfect the algorithm is, it correctly predicted other results accurately. Scoring. Standard scoring in the Windows Solitaire game is determined as follows: moving cards directly from the waist stack to a foundation awards 10 points. However, if the card is first moved to a tableau, and then to a foundation, then an extra 5 points are received for a total of 15. Thus, in order to receive a maximum score, no cards should be moved directly from the waist to foundation. Time can also play a factor in Windows Solitaire, if the timed game option is selected. For every 10 seconds of play, 2 points are taken away. Bonus points are calculated with the formula of 700,000/ if the game takes more than 30 seconds. If the game takes less than 30 seconds, no bonus points are awarded. Variations. Single 52 card deck Below are some variations of the game of Klondike. In Agnes, the stock is dealt in batches of 7 on reserve piles and every one is available. Furthermore, the basis of the foundations depends on the 29th card, which is dealt on the foundations. In Easthaven, 21 cards are dealt into 7 piles of 3, 2 face down and 1 face up. A space in this game can only be filled by a king or any sequence starting with a king, and when a play goes to a standstill, 7 new cards are dealt to the tableau, 1 top of each pile. Easthaven may include 2 or 3 card decks. In 9 across 9 columns of cards are dealt, as opposed to the 7 of conventional Klondike. The player can choose which cards to form the foundations. If 1 or more 8s are exposed, for example, the player may decide to build on 8s, and the piles are built up 8-9-10 Ace 2-3-4-5-6-7. If 8s are built on, 7s fill up spaces and so forth. The stock is dealt through one by one as many times as required. In Thumb and Pouch, a card in the tableau can be built upon another that is any suit other than its own and spaces can be filled by any card or sequence. In Whitehead, all cards are dealt face up, building is by color, a sequence made up of cards that are of the same suit can be moved as a unit, and a space can be filled by any card or sequence. In Westcliff, 30 cards are dealt into 10 piles of 3 cards, 2 face down and 1 face up. A space in this game can be filled with any card or sequence. Tarot deck the game can be played with a tarot-style 78-card deck. There are 2 ways of doing this. Each has 9 increasing tableau stacks. Klondike Nouveau Run, use 5 foundations, and either use the Fool as the first card in the for the trumps foundation, or remove it before playing. The Knight appears between the Jack and the Queen. Klondike Tarot Evens, use 6 foundations. The usual 4, and then use the Red Knights as the Royals for trumps 1 to 10, and the Black Knights as the Royals for trumps 11 to 21. Computerized versions. Michael A. Castiel's shareware version of Klondike for the Macintosh was first released in 1984, and has been continually updated since. A software version of Klondike, simply named Solitaire, has been included in all versions of Microsoft Windows from Windows 3.0 to Windows 7. The embedded versions of Microsoft Windows are originally called Windows CE, later Windows Mobile, and now called Windows for Neo have also included Solitaire. In Windows 8, Solitaire is no longer included by default. However, the Microsoft Solitaire collection can be downloaded for free from the Windows Store, which includes Klondike plus 4 other Solitaire games. Klondike has been added back in Windows 10. Klondike Deluxe AGAV 1.1 for Amiga 1993, GNOME and KDE have Solitaire applications since early versions. Sol, also known as Isle Riot, has over 80 different Patience games. Soltrio Solitaire for Xbox Live Arcade includes Klondike, for which the gamer will earn achievements. Klondike is one of the games included in the Modern iPod's Extras section. PySol is an open-source and platform-independent computer game that incorporates around 1,000 solitaire games, including card games like Klondike and other types of single-player games. It is written in the Python programming language. See also, Free Cell, List of Solitaires, Glossary of Solitaire. Notes, ABHTTP, www.jupiterscientific.org Klondike Solitaire Repartie HTML, ABHTTP, WebENGR Oregon State Udupapers Solitaire PDF, https, github.com Klondike Solver Master Statistics TXT, AB The odds of winning Klondike Solitaire. Discuss.jolensoftware.com. Retrieved August 19, 2012. Diakonis, Percy. Mathematics of Solitaire. Mathematics Department and Graduate School Colloquium Archive 1998 to 1999. Retrieved December 22, 2011. As the first card is either red or black, it is only the next 6 card to show that determine if the starting series is all red or all black, so the odds are better than originally described. The odds of winning Solitaire. Highest score in Windows Solitaire, Microsoft Help and Support, KB 101766. External links: the probability of unplayable solitaire games, the unpublished Monte Carlo result, searching solitaire in real time, Card Game Heaven's Klondike Guide, find out more about Klondike Solitaire, how to play Klondike Solitaire, Draw 1 and Draw 3.